Hi, you've seen this before. This is a NuTone model 2051, and this is the new old stock master station that was featured in a couple previous videos, and it's all been rebuilt and it's all been tested, and I'll link in that video up here so you can go watch it because I think it's interesting. This is getting ready to be shipped off to its new home in Los Angeles, and one of the things that the new owner wants to be able to do is he wants to be able to use the auxiliary input so he can plug in an external music source and play it through his house. Now this is an AM only model, and we all know there's not that much to listen to on AM radio anymore, so the auxiliary input is going to be important. On a set like this, there are some big considerations on how you can do that and do it so it works properly and do it also so it's safe. So let me explain to you what that's about. As with all NuTone intercom systems, there is always at least one auxiliary input jack. And on our little 2051 right here, prop this up, it's right here in the bottom. You have this hole in the bottom of the faceplate, and up inside of here is an old school female RCA jack. And you need to be able to plug in an RCA connector into it to be able to play music from your external music source. Now, what we would typically do in many models is we would drill a little hole carefully, and we would install one of our little 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter audio input jacks and then plug it into a connector or wire it into the connection inside. However, you can't do that with this model. There are some NuTone tube sets, and this is one of them, that it basically has a live chassis. There can be voltage on the chassis, and the audio jack here, the way it's mounted and so forth, it's fully insulated from the chassis. It's not connected to the chassis in any way. If we were to try to put an external audio jack on here somewhere, it would have to be insulated and isolated from the faceplate physically. Otherwise, you could get into a ground loop problem or a voltage problem, and odds are something's going to blow up. So we're not going to do that because it's too difficult. Everything about this set is metal, so there are no plastic pieces at all that could be an insulator, so you have to figure out another way to do it. Now, in the old days, the way you would typically do this is, and you have to sort of follow along with this a little bit. Let's say, as an example, the fellow wants to plug in his phone and play music from his phone or stream music over his Wi-Fi through his phone or something to feed into this. That's perfectly good to do. This is technically a phono input. It is balanced for a phonograph input. It's not an exact match for a cell phone, but then what is nowadays? Unless it's something that's brand new like Bluetooth speakers or something. So it'll be fine. The way it would be done in the old days is you would have to go and buy a bunch of cables to plug together to make it all go. Now, what you have to think about is the fact that the fellow's cell phone is stereo, because when you plug your headphones into it, you have right and left channels. You have two headphones that you put in your ears, and it's stereo, right and left. Everybody knows that. The intercom system is monaural. Monaural is one channel. It's right and left channels mixed together into a single channel, so you get all of the sound, all of the music, but you get it through a single speaker. The way this would be done in the old days is you would get two cables. You have to buy two cables. One, you'd have to buy a cable like this. This is a 1/8 inch stereo male plug to two RCA connectors, right and left channels. And since these have to be merged, you would also have to buy a stereo to mono cable adapter, stereo here, just like on the end of these, and then it comes out through a single jack as a mono signal. So the way this would be done is the fellow would plug the 1/8 inch plug into his phone. The stereo signals come out the ends of these two plugs. You plug the stereo to mono cable adapter into these, and then you plug the mono plug into the intercom like that. And that works just fine. And that's the way it was done back in the old days. That's the way we used to do it when I first started back in the 80s. But then you've got all of these cables and it's kind of a mess, and you got this big Y adapter and these extra connections here, and it's kind of a jumble, and people don't really like that. So for this customer, I went on a search to try to find something better, and I came up with something cool. I came up with this. I found this on Amazon. This is made by a company called Monoprice, and I will put the information for this down in the video description down below. This is a 1/8 inch stereo male plug to a single female RCA jack on the other end. The stereo is mixed into mono inside the little connector. No more big bulky Y cable. So all you need then is a single RCA cable with male plugs on the ends. This plugs into your phone, and then the other end plugs into your RCA cable, and the other end of the RCA cable plugs into the jack on the intercom, like that. Now, instead of having all of this big bulky cable stuff like this, you just have one single nice cable that you plug into something. You still have a cable that's exposed, but that's part of having a vintage system. That's the way it was done. One of the things I've always found rather humorous is if you look in the NuTone catalogs from 1957 and 1959, and those would be the models 2011, 2012, and then 2015, 2016, they actually show in some of the catalogs, they have a nice illustrated drawing, and they show a 2011 on the wall in the kitchen, and they have this gal who looks a lot like Beaver's mom, where she's got the nice dress on with the pearls and the high heels, because that's how everybody dressed in 57, wasn't it? She's wheeling a little cart over to the space underneath the intercom, and it has a phonograph on it, and she's going to plug the phonograph into the jack on the 2011. The reason she's doing that is in 1957, 58, 59, and 60, NuTone didn't make record players yet of any kind whatsoever, or any other kind of external music device. They had jacks on their sets that you could plug something into, but they didn't have any of those devices. Those kind of devices didn't really come out until 1962. So they were forward thinking enough to put a jack so you could plug your own music into it, and that proves what I've always said. The goal has always been, what people always want is they want to listen to their own music through their NuTone intercom system, because they don't want to listen to what's on the radio. They had enough of Lawrence Welk and Guy Lombardo and all that big band music that they used to play. They wanted to listen to something like Bobby Darin or the Four Tops or something like that. And you know, if you can't get it at your local radio station, then you can get your turntable out or your record player and do it that way. So anyway, so this is one easy way, if you have a really vintage NuTone system, that you can use the existing jack, and you're not going to blow up your phone or your dot or your satellite radio or anything else. And it's something to be aware of on these early tube sets, because it can bite you if you don't know about it and you don't know what to do with it. I hope you found this interesting and perhaps helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, because that helps us just a little bit. All of the part numbers, all of these cables came from Amazon. They're all what are called Amazon Basics. They're good quality, they're not expensive cables, nothing wrong with them at all. Don't spend a lot of money on cables because you don't need it. Even on these, they have the fancy gold ends, and the gold ends just make you feel good. It's not like it really is going to make it sound that much better. There'll be a banner right here that shows how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell, and when you click on the bell, click on it to receive all notifications, and every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.